Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time on my channel, please do not make it the last by clicking on the subscribe button, hitting on the bell notification, and giving this video a thumbs up if you end up liking this video. But if you're a returning viewer, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be giving you guys the rough estimate of the total cost it would take for you to migrate to Canada as an international student in 2022 or most likely 2023. So if this is the kind of video you'd be interested in listening or hearing out, then you might want to stay till the end. Without further ado, let's dive into today's video. Now, when it comes to the cost of applying or immigrating to Canada as an international student, it would be right to calculate the sum total of all the basic or the necessary things that you would be needing. I'm going to start up with the international passport. Considering going to another country as an international student, the basic or the first thing you need to consider having should be your international passport, because without that, there is no way you can succeed on your journey to Canada or any other country. As a Nigerian or coming from Nigeria, the sum total of getting an international passport, or on an average, is summed at 60,000 naira. I really don't know if that is applied to every other person, but on an average it is 60,000 naira because of how hard it is getting an international passport in Nigeria. If you got yours at an higher price or at an higher amount, you might want to leave the amount you got it down on the comment section. Or if you got yours recently and the amount is like relatively high or low, you might also want to help others by leaving the amount you got it on the comment section right down there. After you've gotten or secured your international passport, this is the time where you know that you are ready to apply for your admission to Canada. Applying for admission in Canada, there are certain criteria or requirements you need to have or you need to consider before you start your application, and that include having your transcript, having a degree certificate, and other necessary documents. Before you start applying for your admission, you should have already gotten your transcript. Getting a transcript for your admission, there are two different types of transcript that will be needed. You would need a transcript before you apply for your admission, and you also need a transcript that you would send down to your school after admission from your school back there in Nigeria. Now, I would explain all of this as time goes on. If you see me looking down, it means I am actually reading from my book just to get my calculations right, because I already did all of my calculation and rough estimates of the sum total it would take for one to come to Canada. So let's begin. So the first on my list is my transcript before I applied for my admission. Now, the transcript costs me 11,000 naira. I'm going to be listing all of this, like the amount I spent on the screen. So the first was my international passport, which was 60,000 naira, and now for my admission application, the first right now is my transcript, which is summed at 11,000 naira. The next is my degree certificate. They are going to start by paying 15,000 naira for their degree certificate along with other documents. Before I applied for my degree certificate, I had to send the receipt of all other stuff that was needed to process my degree certificate back to Anambra State, because at the time I was in Lagos and I was serving in Lagos. So it cost me about 5,000 naira to rebill my ID card from Lagos to Benin, and then it cost me another 5,000 naira to rebill my receipts that was already at home and my ID card from Benin to Anambra State. That's summed at 10,000 naira. The next on my list is my admission application fee. The admission application fee costs me, for the first school it cost me about 135 Canadian dollar, and for the second school it cost me about 135 Canadian dollar. That is around roughly 270 Canadian dollar, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the exchange rate currently for Canadian dollar is around 560 black market rate. That's if I'm not mistaken. I think when I was living in Nigeria, they said 560 and then someone else said 600, but I'm gonna leave it on the minimum. So 560 by the 270 is summed at 152,000 naira. That is for the application fee for the 2 schools I applied to. You on your own end, you can decide to apply for as many schools as you want to, depending on how much you have. You can decide to apply to 1 school. If you get in, fine. If you don't, you can decide to apply to 2 or even more than that. It's all up to you. Then after admission was gotten, after I have secured my admission, then came in the second transcript that was needed. So I was asked to send in my transcripts, copy of my degree certificate, and a copy of English proficiency letter to my school from my school in Nigeria. And that cost me roughly about 37,000 naira. Last is miscellaneous. When it came to the processing of my transcript and my degree certificate, I was always calling on my roommate back then in the university, who was still a student of the university, to help me go to the different departments and offices that was needed to process all of these documents. Calculating her transport fare, going to pick up my document from the logistic company that had to receive my document from Benin, and transporting herself to the different offices, going to the banks to make payments. Those are miscellaneous of roughly about 10,000 naira inclusive, right? So that cost me a total sum of 295,000 naira. Now, coming down to the visa application, you also have certain requirements that you would need to consider while applying for your visa application. The following are certain things you need to carry out before you apply for your visa. Now, applying for Canadian visa, you either apply as an NSC applicant or the regular applicant. I know this can be confusing, especially if you have not started your process, or especially if you have not gone through the process. Applying as a regular applicant, it means you don't have to write IELTS. It means you also don't need to do your medicals up front. You can just submit every other necessary document exclusive of the IELTS and an upfront medicals. You may choose to include your upfront medicals, or you may choose to include police certificate, but it will not be considered as an NSC as the NSC platform because you did not include your IELTS. In order not to go off the topic, the estimated amount for visa application includes the following, but it is not limited to this alone. Medicals. When you're going for your medicals as an international student, you need to apply with the sum total of 46,500 naira. That was the amount I paid while I was applying for my medicals, or why I applied for my medicals. The next is police clearance certificate. That is roughly about 15,000 naira. Then the next on my list is your Canadian size passport. You can choose to run your Canadian size passport in Alagbon. I think where I did my police clearance was at Alagbon in Lagos. So you can choose to do your police clearance if you're in Lagos at Alagbon, and there's also different stores where you can choose to do your Canadian size passport, if that makes sense. So the Canadian size passport costs roughly about 5,000 naira. The next on my list is IELTS. So I wrote my IELTS because I wanted to go for the NSC platform. That is, I wanted to apply for a fast visa application process. So IELTS writing cost about 83,000 naira. That was the amount I paid for my IELTS as at when I applied for mine. I don't know how much it is right now, but I'm still very sure it is still gonna be the same because it's barely about 4 to 6 months. The next on my list is biometrics and visa application fee, and this costs 235 Canadian dollar, and that at this present rate it costs about 131,600 naira. That is for that. Now when you're calculating the sum total of applying for your visa, it's summed up to be 46,500 for your medicals, police clearance of 15,000 naira, Canadian size passport of 5,000 naira, IELTS of 83,000, biometrics and visa application of 131,600 naira. Then miscellaneous, which includes making of photocopies, scanning of your documents, and other necessities, of roughly about 15,000 naira. I misplaced a very important document that I had to replace, and it cost me 10,000 naira. That is why I summed up my miscellaneous to be 15,000 naira, and then 5,000 for the photocopy, scanning, and all of the other runabout. You may choose to include your transportation cost if you must, but if you are someone who is very familiar with Lagos and can go about your regular appointments with the public transport, know your ways to and fro from the different offices, it will be less expensive for you. But as someone who is not familiar with all of these places, it would be much more expensive for you. So I choose not to put an estimate on transportation on this aspect. So calculating the sum total of what I have for visa application, I have a rough estimate of 296,100 naira. So calculating the cost of applying for admission and the cost of applying for visa, it summed up to be 591,100 naira. Now guys, this 591,100 naira does not include the cost of flight, it does not include the cost of living here in Canada, it does not include the cost of your fees, school fees, especially if you are not on a fully funded program. It does not include the cost of your accommodation, which also falls under the cost of living. It also does not include the cost of buying your winter kit or your winter jacket when coming. Basically all of those preparations, the sum total of what you would get while coming down to Canada. When it comes to booking for your flight or for your ticket down to Canada, it's roughly about 700 to over $1 million naira. It all depends on the timing. You might choose to book for your flight months before your departure, or you might choose to book for your flight few days before your departure, and that all depends on you. With all said and done, I think that is the sum estimate it would take for you to apply for your admission and for your visa application before considering coming to Canada. If you found this video really informative, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, click on the subscribe button and hit on the bell notification so you can get notified when I upload new videos like this on my channel. Also, do not forget to help someone who would be in need of such information. As for now guys, bye. Thanks for watching.